The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and thanks heaps for joining us today for this Net Wealth Practice Management webinar, our series designed to help wealth professionals discover new opportunities to enhance their business. My name is Liam and I'm part of the marketing team here at Net Wealth, and I'm delighted to have Kim Payne, Managing Director and founder of Nine Rock Consulting, joining us today to share some of her marketing strategies and tips to help you better communicate and demonstrate the value you can provide to clients. Before we jump into the good stuff, I will just run through some quick housekeeping items. There is one CPD point allocated for attending this webinar. To receive this CPD point, you will need to have watched at least 30 minutes of this webinar, and they will be emailed to you within the next week. In that email will also be a recording of the session along with the slides. You'll notice on the taskbar to your right, there's a question panel. Please feel free to ask any questions you have for Kim, and we will endeavour to get through as many as we can at the end of the session. And if you wish to share anything about this webinar on social, we ask you to please include hashtag NetWealthInvest or tag us at NetWealthInvest. A little bit about who we are. Nearing our 20th year, NetWealth is an ASX-listed company who provide an online platform to support financial advisors with a wide range of financial products and services to help manage their clients' investments and superannuation. So partner with us, an award-winning platform to start running your business the way you want to. Some of our key features include a market-leading advisor and client portal, a mobile app to help you and your clients access key info on the go, a wide range of investment options such as managed accounts and advanced transaction tools, a suite of detailed reports, and access to unique insights designed to help you grow your business. As mentioned before, we have the pleasure of Kim joining us today. Kim founded and is Managing Director of Nine Rock Consultancy. Kim has spent almost 20 years in the corporate world, including being a financial advisor herself, and now works with professional advisors to unlock the hidden value in their business so they can reach more customers, improve profitability, and have more control. And now she's going to share some of those strategies with you. So please, Kim, take it away.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Liam. This is super fun, and I'm now in the driving seat. Okay, so just to get started, what happens a lot of the time the minute you use the word value is people think of the word client value proposition, or CVP as it's abbreviated. But I want you to think of it being much more than that today. I want you to think of it as being a HVP, which is a human value proposition. And this is really one human doing business with another human. So I find that the best businesses today are those that treat every relationship that they have like they would any other normal, healthy human relationship. And most of us have had some sort of healthy human relationship in the past. There was some research done a while ago called the 12 Steps of Intimacy. And it talks about the 12 different steps that every relationship has to go through, from not knowing someone right through to happily ever after. And if any of those steps are missed, then you risk turning what could have been happily ever after into a one-night stand. Or in the business sense, what could have been a long ongoing relationship into a one-off transaction. So, you know, if you remember, if everyone can remember back to the time when they were single, or for those who are single now, think about the days pre-swipe right, swipe left. And if you go out and just say you're at a bar and you look around and, you know, you see that person, the one that gives you the bubbles in the belly, what used to happen is you would then catch each other's eye, you would probably go and meet up, you'd talk, might buy each other a drink, exchange numbers. Things were going well, you'd arrange to catch up another time. When you left, either that night or the next morning, whenever that was, you would usually follow up saying, hey, it was great to meet you, looking forward to our next catch-up. Before your next catch-up, you would send a message saying, you know, just confirming we're on for this time, this place, etc., etc. And that would keep going until either of you decided that this wasn't right. If that person that you'd met you knew was going to be the love of your life and they already had a trip booked overseas for 12 months, then if they did go over for 12 months, you'd usually spend that next 12 months staying in touch, Skyping, sending messages, I don't know, picking up the phone, whatever it might be. You would keep in regular contact. You wouldn't just send them an email when the 12 months was coming up saying, hey, it's been 12 months since we caught up. Looking forward to catching you when you get back, and expecting the relationship to just resume where it took off. Yet that's what so many advisors do today. There's been 12 months since we saw you. They send out that, hey, it's review time to catch up, expecting the client's going to come back with open arms into the relationship and stay with them forever. So that's what I mean by that's not how you would treat a normal human relationship. So in business, I want you to really think about the relationships you have. And marketing doesn't finish when the sale's made. You need to continuously keep in touch, follow up, let them know you're thinking of them just like you would a normal human relationship. So when it comes to marketing and getting it right, I love this analogy, and this is an analogy that I heard from a guy called Dove Gordon, and I think it's a beautiful example. So let's say that Liam's holding a red balloon and Tim's holding a blue balloon. And Tim, with the blue balloon, has it and he throws it up into the air, expecting that it's going to go up and rise and look all beautiful. And he throws it up a little bit and it rises a bit and then it falls flat on the ground, hits a sharp object and bursts. No fun. Tim's not a happy camper. Then on the other hand, Liam with his beautiful shiny red balloon, he throws it up into the air and it rises and it goes up into the sun. It's glistening and it's shining and it continues to rise and soar. So when it comes to marketing, would you rather the blue balloon or the red balloon? Most people would rather Liam's red balloon. So they go down the shops, they buy the red balloon, they go home, they blow it up. Then it comes time, they let it go and it rises a little bit and then boom, it falls flat on the ground, hits a sharp object and it bursts. And they don't know why. Why did Liam's soar and why did theirs float or sink? And the difference is that Liam had his filled with helium. You had yours filled with hot air because you've blown it up. And that's the same when it comes to marketing. Most tactics that you can use today, whatever the marketing tactic is, whether it's a campaign, maybe it's advertising, maybe it's, social media marketing, it only works if you fill it with the right stuff, with the marketing helium. If you just fill it with hot air, whatever tactic you use has just as much chance that it's going to fail. If you fill it with helium and the right stuff, then whatever tactic you use has got a much better chance of succeeding. So my question to you when it comes to your marketing is it helium or is it hot air? Because just being good at advice today is not enough if you want to get more clients and you want to keep those ones that you really do your best work with and you want to keep them ongoing. So do you know anyone who does similar work to you? They're not nearly as good at you as you are, but they get more clients or they seem to be growing much faster and you don't know why. The reason is that just being good at advice is not enough. Today, it's those that are best at marketing what they do, that get the right message out to the right people, that fill any of their marketing campaigns with helium. They're the ones who are actually winning the race and getting the clients and actually keeping them long term. So most financial advisors are not natural marketers. I get it. You're really, really good at advice. But you've got to start to get this marketing message clear so that whatever tactic you use, you can get out there and it's actually going to get you the results that you want. So Dove Gordon, this guy that I've been madly obsessed with at the moment, he talks about going deeper when you think about what the real purpose of marketing is. And I love this way of thinking because often the answer is, well, it's to get more leads, it's to get more clients, it's to grow my business, it's to make more money. But just knowing that that's the purpose doesn't necessarily give you the guidance or the direction around what you've got to do next to make that happen. So here's an example of an email I literally got last Thursday to my email. I don't know who it's from. I don't know this person. They've come out to me what has happened here is they've said in the second line, it's apparent that you have used AdWords marketing to promote your business in the past. Interestingly enough, I have never ever used AdWords marketing for my business. And it's this whole ad trying to get my business. Well, the chances are absolutely zip. This goes back to the hot air versus helium. This is just full of hot air. And it hasn't really got to the purpose of what marketing's all about, because that's not going to get them new leads. The one or two people out of the thousands and thousands of these emails they might send, I don't know about you, but that's not a very sustainable business. So the purpose of marketing that's going to really give you the direction around what to do, as Dove Gordon explains, is to answer the number one question on your prospect's mind at the right time. Okay, so it's like in a relationship, you need the right person at the right time. When it comes to marketing, you need the right content at the right time. So what he means by this is that there are 3 questions that are in your prospect's mind at any time. Okay, not normally at the same time, but at any time. And the first question is, should I pay attention? Is this of interest? So when you're thinking about your marketing and getting it out there to people, is it getting them to answer the question, should I pay attention? Is this interesting? Because it's noisy out there. And if you want people to stop doing what they're doing, just say they're scrolling through Facebook and you want them to stop and look at your ad, or just say they're going through their emails and you want them to stop and look at your ad, or their diary's booked and you've invited them to another event. Why should I stop and listen to what you've got to say? So should I pay attention, and is this interesting? You need to be able to answer that question, because that's the question, that's the first stage when it comes to knowing what to do in your marketing. If someone says yes, and they answer yes, they should pay attention, this is interesting, the second question that normally goes through their mind, not necessarily consciously, but the second question is therefore, can I trust you? So are you for real? So I've seen this ad, or I've been part of this marketing campaign, but who are you? You know, is this real? So going back to that email that I just showed you before, from what they've said, I don't feel that I can trust them at all. I don't know who they are from a bar of soap. So even if it got through the first gatekeeper, it's not going past this one. So when you're looking at your marketing material, how does it help people who subconsciously are asking, can I trust you? Are you for real? How does it answer that question? Then if you get through that question, the third question that often prospects are asking is what you're suggesting or recommending right for me? Does it make sense for me and what I'm trying to achieve? So this is where it's really important to understand how you communicate what it is that you do, and making sure that somebody reading that who's the right type of client for you would go, yep, that sounds like me. So if you're recommending retirement advice and I'm in my early 20s, then it's probably not right for me. If I'm nearing retirement and the stuff that I see that you're putting out there is helping me retire more comfortably, then there's more chance I'm going to answer this question, yes, and we're going to continue moving forward and hopefully get a client out of it. Okay, that sounds reasonably easy, right, Liam?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
If it was that easy, I wouldn't have a job.
That's right, exactly. So here's 3 things that you can do to try and make it easier for clients to answer those questions. Should I be paying attention? Is this of interest? Can I trust you? And is what you recommend right for me? The first one is being able to really clarify your message and get it in a way that humans understand. How do you then explain it, and how can you demonstrate it? So I'm going to go through each of these quite quickly, but giving you some tips along the way, because if you can nail this, this is where a lot of the goodness is. First one being how to clarify your message. Interesting, I was driving home from dancing a couple of months ago, and I had a really good friend of mine sitting in the front seat, and she works for a company, I won't say who it is, but I had another girlfriend in the back seat, and my friend in the back seat asked my girlfriend in the front seat, so what do you do for work? And it was fascinating listening to my girlfriend answer. because she answered, and I'll be honest, I've been a friend of hers for 10 years and I still don't know what she does. Anyway, she gave this answer to my girlfriend in the back seat, and my girlfriend in the back seat, I could just see through the rear vision mirror this complete blank look on her face, like, I've got no idea what you just said. And it reminded me of speaking to so many financial advisors. You know, when you say, what do you do? Or if I go to your website, I don't even know really what you do, and I'm in the industry. So getting clear on your message, there's a couple of things that it needs to answer. It is who you're for, why they need it, what you do, how you do it, and when you do it. Now, you don't necessarily answer all of this at once, but a really clear message over a number of different mediums would answer these questions, which is going to allow me to also see, can I trust you, and is what you recommend right for me? The first one is, of course, who you're for. But here's the problem, and this is why a lot of advisors don't get this right, is you suffer from a serious condition. It is curable, but it's called the curse of knowledge, or the expert's curse, which is what I've also heard it referred to. And the curse of knowledge is where you know so much about what you do that you can't remember what it's like not to know. So when you communicate with people, you communicate from the level of understanding that you have, not from the level of understanding that they have. So if you look at it on a scale where on the left-hand side, like A to Z, where ABC is where there's no understanding, the right-hand side is where you've got complete understanding, which is where most of you, I would assume, would sit. A lot of the way that you communicate from your level of understanding is not where your clients are sitting at the lower end. So you've got to almost go back and say, when I knew nothing about what I do, what would I have needed to know that would have helped get me that one step closer to wanting to move forward with what you do? And when you're at that lower level of understanding, it's really important that you help people understand more of the why. Why is this important? Why do I need to do that? Why does A go before C, or Y go before Z? But I need to know more of the why before I start to know all of the how. Unfortunately, in our industry, though, we tend to spend a lot of our time marketing around the how we do it or what we do, with not enough emphasis on the why. So when you are looking at your marketing, especially when you've got clients, even super smart clients, when they don't know a lot about what you do, you need to help them understand why you do this. We do this because, we do this so that, we help you do this so you can, etc., etc. It's a really, really important point. The second thing is to be very, very clear on what business you're in. And I laugh because most people would say, oh, that's really easy. I'm in financial planning, or I'm in mortgage broking, or I'm a risk advisor. I'm in the business of risk and protection. But Mark Boris was at an AFA conference a number of years ago, and he was sharing a story about when he was about to get some quite a large sum invested from Kerry Packer. And he went in to meet Kerry Packer on the day that he thought was just to get the cheque signed and the contract autographed. And Kerry Packer said, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and depending on your answer to those 3 questions will depend on whether I hand over the money. Mark Boris was reasonably cocky, in his words, and the first question that Kerry Packer threw at him was, what business are you in? Now, Mark Boris was actually the head of Wizard Home Loans at the time. So Kerry Packer said to Mark, but before you answer, you cannot tell me that you're in the business of home loans. Anyway, long story short, Mark Boris couldn't answer the question. So back on to you. If I asked you, what business are you in? Now, I don't have $25 million to invest in your business, so the answer is not quite as fruitful. But if I asked you, what business are you in? How would you reply? And you're not in the business of financial services or risk or financial planning, whatever it might be. But what business are you in? And Mark Boris couldn't answer the question, but Kerry Packer jumped in and answered it for him. And Kerry Packer said, you're in the business of helping people achieve their dreams and aspirations. You do it by helping them put a roof over their head and retire comfortably. So what you'll hear with that answer is there's 2 parts. The first part is achieve your dreams and aspirations. But if you just leave it at that, there's plenty of ways that you can help people achieve their dreams and aspirations. So the second part is really important. You do it by helping them put a roof over their head and retire comfortably. So if I was to ask you with the two parts in mind, how would you answer? Now, given we're on a webinar, obviously you can do this in your own head. Some of you will already have a beautiful response. But here's one that I really like, that really resonates with me. It's not right nor wrong. But as a financial advisor, you help people live a better life or a happier life, because most people are aspiring towards happiness. You do it by helping them make smart decisions with their money. So what business you're in? We're in the business of helping people live a better life by making smart decisions with their money. That is just one version. You need to have your own version, and this is where you can get some of the marketing helium by getting clear. And an example, so I was doing this kind of work with an advisor recently, and he had an analogy that I absolutely loved, and it was about the British rowing team. And I don't know anything about the British rowing team, and I'm probably going to get this story wrong, but you'll get the drift of what I'm trying to say. He was saying that the British rowing team were losing a lot of their races, and they ended up getting a new coach in, and the new coach didn't just come in with a whole lot of new tactics and new ways to do things. He came in with a different framework for making decisions. And what he did was he helped them that any decision that they had to make in their life, how could they frame it against, will this help you row the boat faster? So when one of the rowers would go to the pub on Saturday night and order a beer, the framework for the decision making was, is this beer going to help me row the boat faster? Yes or no? It's a pretty no-brainer, that one. Is eating the salad or McDonald's going to help me row faster? Okay, buy the salad. So he gave them a framework for thinking about how they make decisions to get that outcome of rowing the boat faster. And guess what? They started winning their races and continued winning their races. And I really liken that to financial advice, that you give people a framework and some structure to help them make decisions in their life with their money that enable them to get on and live a happier or a better or a good life. And I think that's a really lovely example. And certainly when I've been doing some work with advisors and they're leading with this kind of conversation, they're getting a lot more buy-in than, oh, I thought you just did investments, insurance and superannuation. Okay, so remember I said the first question that most prospects are wanting to answer at the right time is about, should I pay attention? Am I interested? There's two things that fundamentally get people interested or get their attention. The first one is a problem that they have that they don't want. So a problem that they have today that they don't want, they'd like to get rid of it, they'd like a solution to it, or a result that they want that they don't have. So a result that they want but they don't have right now. They're the two things that are going to get my attention. So if you are doing any marketing tactics or advertising or social media posts, these are the two things that are going to stop me in my tracks and make me pay attention, as long as it's at the right time when I'm actually thinking about these things. So a really great thing that you can do is to go back and think about, now this is where the who part of the who, why, how, what, where is really important. Who are your ideal clients, and really getting the insight into them, who they are, what makes them tick, how do they think, how do they behave, how do they act. And then writing a list of what are all the problems, knowing who they are that they have that they don't want, or what are all the results that they want that they currently don't have. Write a list and capture as many of these as you can. This is a really good activity to do if you've got a team as well. So you can do it on your own if you're a solo advisor, or if you've got a team, this is a superb activity that you can do as a team. Then once you've got that list, have a look over that list and see which one of those, either the problem that they have that they don't want or the result that they want that they don't have, what really is the biggest one there? What's the bigger picture one? The main problem or the main result that your clients either want to solve or want to enable. And this is where you can start to condense that message and getting it really clear. So when I go back to my example about living a happy life, most humans want to move towards happiness of some description, knowing that happiness means different things to different people. But that's kind of one of the big fundamental aspirations of most human beings. So that's where I like that one, because it's about moving towards happiness on my personal happiness scale. But what about for you? You know, what is that one really big problem or result that you help clients solve? And I'll just get you an example. So the amount of mortgage brokers I speak to, and so much of their marketing, they talk about getting you the best mortgage, getting you the right mortgage, getting you the cheapest mortgage. Guess what? I don't want a mortgage. Absolutely don't want a mortgage. Had they just changed that around, what do I want? What's the problem I've got? I'm living in a rental property that I could get kicked out of at any time, or I'm living in a really small unit with a growing family and I feel like the walls are literally closing me in. So the bigger problem is, or the thing I want solved is, I want to get into my dream home sooner that I can then raise my kids and grow old with my husband in. That's the positioning I want. Now, if I need a mortgage to achieve that, so be it. But when you leave with, we help you get the right mortgage, you're not answering my questions. You're not getting my attention, because I actually don't want a mortgage. And this is where the whole what you do is so important, because whatever it is that you do, I don't want you. I'm not being rude, but I don't want you. I don't want a stockbroker, a mortgage broker, a financial advisor, a risk advisor, an accountant. I don't actually want any of that stuff. I do not get out of bed in the morning saying, oh, I want investments, I want insurance, I want superannuation. What do I want? I want to know that when I get up in the morning that I can do and have the things I want, that I can look after the people that I love, that I can protect my children if something went wrong, and that I can make decisions that I own without being dependent on money or having money worries. What I want is a better ROL, which is a better return on life. And if having you and the things you do are going to help me get that, then so be it. More important that I now engage you, but I want that better return on life. And one of the greatest questions when it's looking at the return on life is, what do you want the money for? So I was doing some work with an accountant, and obviously, you know, accountants do a lot of tax returns. It's kind of their bread and butter. And this accountant was beautiful. So when he'd be doing all the numbers and getting all the paperwork ready, he'd say to the client, so if we can get you this tax return, and from our preliminary assessment, it looks like you're going to get about $5,000. His first question after that is, what do you want that money for? And so it gets people thinking. For some, it was like, oh, actually, I might go to Bali, might take the kids on a holiday to Bali. Some of them might be, oh, it might pay off our mortgage so we can own our home sooner, whatever it is. Then any correspondence he has after that is about the tax return, is taking your family to Bali. Yep, you can do it. See below. And there's the details about the tax return. So he's really starting to get those dots between getting a better return on life and having that accountant do what they do. And this is where a lot of the gold is. So another little tip that you can use is to capture all of the events that are planned and unplanned that could go on in the typical life of a client of yours. So this is just an example of some that I've put together. Quite a generic example, but you would do this with your ideal client in mind. So what you'll see here is all of the different type of events, planned and unplanned, that could go on in a client's life. And every single one of these has a financial implication or decision attached to it. And guess what? You, in your business or with your other affiliate relationships or referral partnerships, whatever they are, could fulfill everything on this list. Remember, you'd have your own list. So when you can show this to the client that, you know, over time, this is what life's going to look like. Potentially some of these things will happen. You'll want some of them to happen. Others you'll try and avoid. But when they do, that's where we step in. These are the triggers for you to come to us and our advice. And when you lead with this, a couple of things happen. firstly, in looking at this, if I'm a potential client, I'd go, wow, you do a lot of stuff. And it stops me from pigeonholing you as, oh, you just do my investments or you just do my insurance. Because we often, clients pigeonhole you based on whatever you're working on for them at the time. So it stops that. And it shows the breadth of how you or your other alliance partners work. So that's really important. Secondly, it helps me understand why on an ongoing basis I need to keep in touch with you. Because unless you've got a crystal ball that can say, yeah, none of these things are going to happen, then at some point we need to keep in touch, because as they do happen, you want me on your team. Thirdly, and probably most importantly, I can remember this stuff. This is my life. This is the world that me as the client lives in. So it's easier for me to remember. I'm not going to forget this as easily. So when you're leading with this, it means that I'm going to remember as these things happen. Oh, yeah, better call my advisor, or better call my risk advisor, or whatever it might be. It is this is a tool I've been using with a lot of advisors, and this is probably the best tool, not only from a marketing point of view, but also to keep clients on the journey with you. Doing a version of this yourself has probably been the most successful tool that I've created to date. So much more exciting than leading with all the stuff on the left-hand side, which is what a lot of advisors do. And I liken this to, if you lead with, we do life insurance, critical illness, business expense insurance, investments. It's kind of like going and having an operation. Just before you're about to go under, the surgeon brings out the tray with all the tools on it and says, hey, look, this is what I'm going to operate on you with. I don't know about you, but it wouldn't make me feel that excited. That's what it's like when you're sharing this information directly with a client. What I want to know is what's going on in my life, how I can join those dots between my life and the advice that you bring to the table. And that's when you can start to help the clients understand that, that's where a lot of the gold is. A book that I've read recently by a woman called Dr. Moira Summers, which is Sommers. It's called Advice That Sticks. She's more of a behavioural psychologist, but she talks about 10 of the researched reasons why people seek financial advice. And these are the 10. And what I love about this is these are some of the reasons over and above the advice that would keep somebody coming back to and staying within your service. So they're not the things, though, that a lot of advisors lead with, but these are things on the peripheral. But, if you can do something that means I don't have to worry about it, then great, I'm going to pay you to do it. We live in a convenience revolution at the moment where people pay a lot of money for the convenience of things. You could go to the shops, buy your food, cut it up, cook it, serve it. But we pay a lot of money to get Uber Eats, deliver it to our door already prepared and cooked. So, by incorporating some of the relevant peripheral things that you do that clients value, it can start to make me realize why I'm with you on a regular basis, over and above just the advice stuff, or over and above just the events that are going on in my life. So certainly some valuable tips there. And if you do get a chance to read the book, I can't recommend it more highly. It's terrific. And Liam, I don't know if you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin. We actually just got a question, if you don't mind repeating who the author was.
Oh, Dr. Moira, Moira Summers, Sommers. And the book's called Advice That Sticks. It's awesome. I should be on commission because I refer this to anyone who gives advice and wants it to stick and want clients to get benefit out of it. To me, it's like a Bible. Really, really valuable. Okay, so the second thing is, once you've got that message clear, you understand how you can capture it, then it's really important that you can explain it. But explaining it so clients understand, and this is a really hard one to do, because remember, you're explaining it from the expert position, and that expert curse, you know so much about what you know that you almost forget what it's like not to know. So this is sadly a true story. But when I grew up with a mother who was a really, really bad cook, super bad cook, and I was 15 and I had some friends coming over for dinner, and Mum said, all right, I'm going to prepare some spaghetti bolognese, and all you've got to do is heat the sauce. She'd already cooked the sauce, cook the noodles, sieve the noodles, put the sauce on top, voila, you've got spag bol. No problem. So I do that exactly as she said. Served it up to my mates and they all said to me, Kim, what's this bolognese soup? I didn't drain the noodles. I didn't know I had to drain the noodles. So anyway, Mum got home and asked about the spaghetti bolognese, which I told her turned into takeaway pizza, and she was pretty grouchy. And then I explained what happened. And she took full responsibility because she said, or she realised that she assumed I knew to strain the noodles. She wasn't clear. She didn't explain it in a way that someone who had never ever cooked spaghetti bolognese would need to know it. And I use that as an example. Sadly, it is true, and I still don't cook spaghetti bolognese very often. But secondly, because when you explain something to a client, it doesn't mean that they've understood. Often it's maybe that you've not been clear enough, or you might need to say it in a number of different ways so that they understand it. So going back to what I said before about two of the reasons why that you would get their attention is a problem that they have they don't want, or a result that they want they don't have, is how would that pass the drink test? Now, when I say drink, sometimes I could call it a beer test or a wine test or a coffee test. But if you're an advisor and you were just sitting with a mate having a beer or having a glass of wine or even having a coffee, how would the person on the other end in their language explain to you the problems that they're having or the results that they want to achieve? What words do they use? What language do they use? What context do they put it in? This is the goodness that you've got to capture and bring into your marketing content. So from their perspective, their words and their language. And something that you can do, because in most of the communications and a lot of the marketing, even the emails that we send out to clients, it's written from your expert position as opposed to their less understanding client position. So what you could do is get someone you trust, either a client or even a family member or a friend, give them some of your documentation, whether it be emails, communications, marketing materials, whatever. Give them a highlighter and get them to highlight all of the sections that they don't understand or the words that they think, I wouldn't use that word. So for instance, most clients wouldn't say, I'm looking at my cash flow management. Okay, now unless they're a small business, they wouldn't say that. They might say, how do I make my ends meet? Or how do I save more than I spend? You've got to look at the words they use, the language and the context they use it in. So the highlighted test is a really great one for you to get somebody else to have a look at it. I've done this with a couple of advisors and the documents have come back almost completely highlighted. Really, really valuable though, because it shows all the different areas that you can help. And another way to help explain something that the clients don't understand, which is the stuff you do, and make the unknown known, is to use analogies and metaphors. So most of you would know what an analogy or a metaphor is. There's a couple of them on the slide. These are absolute gold when it comes to helping clients understand how you can work with them and how you can help. Because it takes something that I don't understand and converts it into something I do understand. Kind of like a little mouse in a maze. That mouse is inside the maze. The walls are all around it and it's going to struggle to get out because it doesn't know where it came in and it doesn't know how to get out, and it's going to bump into walls, it's going to run around, it could waste a lot of time, a lot of energy. This is kind of what it's like for a client when they're navigating their life and trying to make their ends meet and use money to fulfill their life. However, as the advisor, you get the aerial view. You can look down on that maze. You can show the mouse where it's got to tell, oops, don't go that way, there's a brick. Oh, no, don't go that way is going to lead you. No, that one's going to waste your time. You get what I mean. So you can use the metaphor or analogy, or you can use the visual. And there's heaps of these type of examples in the industry. Having a number of them that you can use is really valuable. This one is one of my favorite. It's about an advisor being like an airline pilot. I've got one client of mine that uses this all the time, and I know it's quite wordy, but he's always talked about being an airline pilot. And if I say to you that the seatbelt sign is off, you're free to walk around, that means everything is okay. But the minute I say to you, hey, fasten your seatbelts, there's turbulence ahead. That means listen up. So what will happen now is when events take place, he'll just send an email out to his clients and say, just letting you know, the seatbelt sign is still off, you're free to walk around. That's all he needs to say, and the clients understand. It's absolutely golden. He set that relationship from the beginning using that analogy, and it means now that he can very clearly articulate when there's a problem and when there's not. So just having a think about how you can help make the unknown known using analogies, metaphors, and client stories. So that's another really good way. When you can help people see what's going on, hear it and feel it, it's really important. So I'm a massive fan of using visuals to try and help people understand what you say. That's why before I used the mouse in the maze, because you can visualize it in your mind, you can see it as an analogy, and you can feel, you know what it's like if you're trapped in a maze and you don't know how to get out. Most of us have done a maze of some way, shape or form in our lives. So what I'm going to show you now is some content that most advisors use, and all I've done is put it into a template using icons, using human speak, and in some case using analogies or metaphors. So this is one that often accompanies a fee schedule or something like this. What you'll notice here is these are some of those peripheral benefits or outcomes that was in the 10 things that Moira Summers had that I showed you in that previous slide. Some of those extra bits that you benefit. What you'll see here is I've used them in a template. This would accompany a compliance document. It's not to replace it. And I've used visuals to make it really easy, really palatable for a client to understand. Now, here's another one. This is about the whole initial advice stage with a client. You'll notice I've got a heading, which is life is unpredictable, making decisions about it shouldn't be. That's very much attaching it to my life. Then I've got an analogy. Building a house starts with a blueprint, laying solid foundations. It's no different than when it comes to managing your money. People understand that. Then what I've got is each of the different sections, and you can do this as a graph or a table or something pretty as well. But it's then got some icons, some headings that are more in language that clients understand, and client speak describing what each stage is. At the very end of this, Liam, I've got somewhere where they can go if they want to get a copy of these templates. So just if anyone wants to spend more time on it and create their own, I've got the templates for them. This one's the ongoing support. So again, I've got an analogy up here, just like getting fit. You can't go to the gym once and expect to be fit for life. Then you'll notice again, icons, the words that clients use. This is all the extra stuff that you do to service your client on an ongoing basis. And then this one is the actual components of advice that you provide. Again, you wouldn't get a plumber to build your house, okay? In other words, if you want a financial planner if you want to get your money decisions right, you need a financial advisor. And again, where could you use some of this material? You could use it in any service agreements, in any marketing material. Great one is on your website. There's in your client communications, wherever it might be. Here's another example where you can then, again, trying to connect the dots between a client's life and your advice. All I've done here is taken the cover page of a statement of advice and the covered page of an ongoing service agreement. I've still, as you notice down the bottom, got the compliance stuff. So none of what I'm ever talking about is to replace compliance. It's to complement compliance. It's to put the human speak on top of what still needs to be a compliant document. But what you'll notice is I've used visuals. And in the example of this one, the client on the left was a real client I was doing some work with. And they were helping a client get a swimming pool so they could spend more quality time with the family. The husband was a workaholic. He was never home. So getting a swimming pool in their own backyard was important. So all I've done is put a visual and a different heading on the document that the client to relate to. The difference it makes is huge. I was doing some of this work with a group the other day, and an advisor, she hasn't had time to implement much else, but all she did was she was working with an elderly client who everything in this old elderly client's life was her dog. She had no family. Her dog was her everything. So she went and found a copy of the dog, put the dog on the front page of the statement of advice, sent it to the client, you can imagine the difference that's made with the client and the relationship with the advisor. So these are all really easy things that you can do, but you can do them quite easily. Here, this is an executive summary that would come after the cover page, before the detail in a statement of advice, where again, it's human speak. It's about the outcomes to the client and using icons to make it more visually appealing. Like I said, these are just some examples. You can create your own. And what I really want to show here too is be aware of the name that you give things. So, you know, fact find, I see advisors using fact find. That's not that exciting. What about, you know, important numbers or the story of your life, the data and the details? But think about the names that you give your documents, either the compliance documents or the emails or the steps in your process, and try and link this back to what your core message is that we talked about a little bit earlier. It can make all the difference to helping clients really understand this journey that they're on with you and make it seem not so compliancy, even though you still tick all the compliance boxes. The final stage is how do you then demonstrate your value and get it out? So obviously using any marketing tactics that are relevant, campaigns, advertising, events, whatever it is for you. I'm just going to quickly share some examples of some websites. The reason I use websites is even though a website's not necessarily a be-all and end-all, most advisors that go through the process to update their website, and in particular the message on their website, I'm not as worried about the layout and design as I am the message and getting the message clear. If you do this, you then find that that message then can be embedded right throughout your business. So this is typically what a lot of advisors' websites look like. I certainly know that there are many on this webinar who this does not apply to. There might even be some on this website who go, wow, did she copy mine? The answer is no. But if I looked at this and I'm an ideal client of yours, well, I don't know if I'm an ideal client because I don't exactly know what you do other than you do all that stuff down the bottom that I said earlier I don't necessarily want. A lot of advisors also lead with when they've been in business from. At this point, I don't care how long you've been in business. I don't care that you've been going since 1987 or since 1992 or 2013. I don't care about that yet. I only care about that if the benefit of that is that it means that you've been around the traps, you've seen all the things that could happen. So I don't have the benefit then of being your first client. I get the benefit of being second, third, or 500th, what have you. But when you lead with this stuff, remember, what problem are you solving? I don't know. What result are you trying to achieve? I don't know. Can I trust you? Still don't know. I just know you've been around a long time. And is what you're offering right for me? I can't answer yes to any of those questions that were posed before. Compare this type of website and the classic handshaking, people sitting around meeting room imagery. Again, not that inspiring, given the type of work that you can do. Here's one that I love. It's simple, and as soon as I get to this front page, finding your financial way through divorce, we help separating couples and families prepare for their financial future. If I was going through a divorce or wanting to go through a divorce and I was here, I know, yep, I'm in the right place. You get me. Now, how can you help? I'm going to want to find out more. Okay, likewise, this one. This is the retirement answer man. He obviously deals with clients retiring or retired, but his whole website just speaks to someone who is either planning to or retiring. You know, find your best retirement with conversations, not equations. If your present had a little talk to your future. When I go there, I know you are for me, it's clear, and then, of course, all the stuff that goes around it too. I love this. This is a business over in America called Stash Wealth. You can probably guess who they're for. I've blown up the text just so that you can see it. The high earners not rich yet. It's usually the Gen Ys, the millennials. The language that they use, this front page is actually a slider. The first one is get your financial S together. The second one says, not your parents' financial advisor. I think it's not your father's financial advisor. It's beautiful because most Gen Ys don't want to be using the same financial advisor as their parents. They're just speaking to me if I was one of these clients. If you get a chance, check out their homepage video. The business is called Stash Wealth. It is absolutely the most beautiful homepage video I've ever seen about speaking directly to your ideal client. If I was Gen Y and I was over in America, although a lot of this is done online nowadays, I would absolutely be going to this advisor because I feel that they get me. This is my favourite accounting business in Brisbane. They're life-changing accountants. That's what they call, they're called Spire, but they're lead line life-changing accountants. The little line under there, if you can read it, says enjoy better profit, better cash flow, and better quality time with your family. This is for small business owners, which is me. I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? Okay, I am just about to move to them as well. If you just whip over to the next page on their website, up in the navigation space, it's the problems we solve, shows what they are: pay less tax, stabilise cash flow, boost your profits. They can use this language because their clients are business owners, and this is the language business owners use. What you'll see is they've got a beautiful little 1-minute video, which is what stabilising your cash flow is about. Then they've got an analogy to explain how most businesses operate, like they're flying with the dashboard blank. Absolutely golden example of how to do this and do it properly and get your message heard. So now if you're clear on what your message is, if you're able to look at different ways that you can explain it, and you start to demonstrate your value both for prospects throughout your marketing and on an ongoing basis, there is a tool out there today that is the most powerful way to do this on scale. It's cheap, it's easy, it's free to a degree. Would you want to know what it is? So it's going to put that marketing helium literally on steroids. Who would like to know? Now, I'm assuming most of you would. However, what if I then said to you, it starts with V and ends in O, and it's called video? Now I'm sure if you had your hand up, your hand might be going down. A lot of people decide that, yeah, this is not necessarily for them. This today is one of the most powerful tools you can use. I love this. Video to communication is like compounding is to interest. Every single one of you on this webinar would understand what compounding means to interest, and it literally inflates it. That is what video does to communication. However, I know not everybody wants to embrace it. It's hard, it's awkward, you've got a whole heap of excuses. But to address the hard thing, FDS was hard one day, opt-in was hard once, starting your own business was hard, changing jobs was hard. Okay, nothing that gets really great results is going to be easy. There's no magic pill. But one thing I do want to share when it comes to video and some of the excuses is the first hurdle you've got to get over is it is not about you. We all make it about us. So you record a video, you watch it back, you go, oh my God, I don't look like that. I don't sound like that. Oh my God, I need to lose 20 kilos. Okay? You've got to get over it. It's not about you, because if I'm a client sitting on the other end and you've got a great message to share with me, I'm not paying attention to the stuff that you're paying attention to. You're your own worst enemy when it comes to using video. So if you've got goodness to share and you want to get it out and you want to do it on scale, and I say on scale because video, there's nothing else that you can do it once and then leverage it as powerfully as video, because you can record one welcome video once and then put it on your website or send it out to a client over and over and over again. Instead of, I had an advisor the other day ring me and say, Kim, I'm sick of answering the same question. This was when they were doing the change to inactive superannuation accounts and they were going to close them down, which means people were going to lose any potential insurance cover in there. And this advisor said to me, Kim, I'm just sick of having the same conversation. So I said, great, let's do a little video. We did a video of it. He got to send it out to all of his clients, problem solved. The ones that it related to, he could then follow up with. Some of the others who didn't know if it affected them were able to come back to him. But it was absolutely one of the most powerful tools that he could use. Took me a little bit of persuading him to get over himself and get over that I don't sound like that, I don't look like that. The other challenge that I often come up against is, yeah, but I don't have the gear. Okay, I'm going to show you some gear that you can get for around $120. I carry this stuff around with me. Anyone who's ever seen me do a session on video sees that I actually pull this stuff out of my handbag. And this is all I use when I'm out and about. At home, sure, I've got all the more professional equipment. A little tripod on the left, $20 so that the phone doesn't wriggle. A little light so that if I am a little bit darker, they're on sale at the moment, $27.99. I actually just got on board and bought a whole lot of them. And a tiny little microphone. Now, that's expensive. That was $70. There are other versions that you can do. $120. If your biggest excuse was you don't have the gear, then I'm hoping that this could be your get started. Don't use that as an excuse. Get past it. When it comes to video, and I could actually speak about the next 5 hours on video, one thing you've got to be really clear on is it's not just about marketing. Videos are not just for marketing. Videos can actually be injected into your entire sales and nurturing process with clients. So preparing them before a meeting, doing a personalized welcome video before they come in, following up after a meeting, hey, Liam, did I tell you don't forget to do X, Y, and Z? There's so many ways. Instead of writing a blog, you could do a video. You could use explainer videos where you're explaining what something means, or, last night on the news you heard this, I just want to clarify it means why. I had another advisor that wanted to be prepared when the election was on, and if there was a change of government, get onto it really quickly. So before the change of government, we did a video on if over the weekend the government did change, here's what the key things that you need to know are, and here's what you need to do. So we could pre-record it, so that had it changed, first thing Monday morning, he could have emailed it out to a client. Like, where else do you get a tool that allows you to do that? And here's the funny thing. There is no whoops. So if you do bloopers and blunders, which is where you don't get it perfect or you don't get it right, don't aim for perfect, just aim for done. But the most views on videos are actually the bloopers and the blunders. People seem to like those and connect with those more than anything. So if you are doing video, which I can't recommend more, if you want to get that marketing helium out, get that red balloon that Liam has so that any message flies correctly in the face of the type of clients you want more of, to get your message clear, to explain your value and be able to demonstrate it all the time and get it out there to more people on scale, then hopefully there's been some things in here that you can take away and put into your business. Some of those templates I use, the infographic looking templates, if you do want to copy, just jump onto either of these URLs, the www details. If you don't know what a URL is, just realised what I said, and I will send it through to you. Now, I've gone almost over time.
Thanks, Kim. And those templates as well, guys, we will include them in the follow-up email, which you will receive in the next week. Kim, thank you. Some absolute gold in there for advisors. It is really hard to break through all the noise that's going on, and there's so many channels to consume. But if you can really nail it and have a really strong message that resonates with people, this can be so powerful, can't it? And I love those website examples, just in a time where people's attention span is just decreasing shorter and shorter. Being able to provide a showcase in one sentence what you can do for them, it's just critical. We'll have some time for just a couple of questions here. Guys, remember you can ask them on the taskbar to your right. We won't spend too long. But Kim, first one, when you were going over, what do you do? What's the services? You were asking people to ask those questions. We got one come through here. What do? I help remove retirement anxiety.
Ooh.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
But it could perhaps be sexier and go into more detail. How would you build on that?
Yeah, so say that again. You remove retirement anxiety?
Yes, correct.
Okay, how do you do it? So we remove retirement anxiety by making sure that your money's put to its best use and that you can spend it the way you choose. Or something, it's just missing the last part of it. You've only got the first part of it. So if you go back to the example I used at the beginning, which was helping people live a better life, that's great. How do you do it? You help me by making smart decisions with my money. So you help me remove retirement anxiety. Beautiful result I want. How do you do it? You do it by blah. That would just tie it off beautifully. Really good one.
Yeah, no, it was a great start. And you say you've obviously talked a bit about video there. What are the best channels? A social media, website, or just do it all?
Oh my gosh, everywhere. So social media is obviously a great place for video. And just if you are putting video on social media, make sure you upload the video directly into social media. Don't put a link from YouTube or Vimeo or another platform provider. It'll go way against you. So social media, your website's another one. But most importantly is blogs. So to have a section on your website where you could have a normal blog or news article, have a video, but then make sure that you send it out to your clients in an email as well. Now, you can't, most email providers don't allow you to embed the video in it. Some do, most don't. So you might send out an email saying, hey, just got a really quick update on something that happened last night. Check out this video. They would click on the link, and rather than sending them to YouTube or to Vimeo, send them back to somewhere on your website where that's set up. Anyone who's got a website, your web provider or whoever set it up can set up a page where you can put your videos, kind of like to house them there on that page. That's the best way that I would do it. You can use video for anywhere that you need to get a message out. You can even use it in a meeting, in a client meeting. You can use a video. You can send it out through emails. You can use it on social media, put it into any marketing campaigns. This is literally a whole nother topic that, you know, the more, and video is such a now tool. People are absolutely soaking up video.
Yeah, and another beautiful thing you can do with video is there's transcription services online, such as Rev, so you can submit, I think it's $1 per minute. They'll put it all into a Word document, and you can use that as a blog or something on your website.
Oh, absolutely. If I go back to leverage, so here's the thing, right? So you've got a message to send out. You do a video of it. You then get it transcribed. So rev.com is also my favorite tool of choice. So then you've got the written word. You can get captions on it, which means that if somebody's watching the video, they can actually read it. So if I'm watching on the train or I don't have my earphones in, I can read it. Then you can take snippets of either the words or the video and have little mini social media posts. You can do all of that just by filming a 2-minute video. So that is leverage in its finest form.
Absolutely. And I think another important thing to keep in mind that you mentioned was the knowledge curse. Something I learned and was told ages ago, which has always stuck with me, was no one will ever complain that something's too simple if it's interesting and relevant.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. At the end of the day, the whole point of communication is that the person on the other end understands what you're trying to communicate. So using fancy words or complicating the matter.
Acronyms. We live in an industry of acronyms.
Riddled with them. It doesn't help the whole understanding piece.
Absolutely. Kim, we're running out of time, so I might leave it there. Thank you very much. Guys, just a reminder that, yes, there was one CPD point available for attending. This will be included in the email that you'll receive in the next week, along with the webinar, recording the slides, and Kim's templates. Other things that you may enjoy that's coming up is our CPD portfolio construction. In a couple of weeks, we'll be with Jason Koo from Macquarie. He'll be looking at alternative investments and how they can help to diversify investment portfolios. And on the subject of value proposition, we also have a range of resources on how you can communicating them and developing them effectively. They're on our website under our Change Chance section, and we will also include them in the email. Listeners, thank you again for joining us today. We hope you've really found this session valuable. And Kim, thank you immensely. And we hope to see you next time.
My pleasure. Thanks, Liam.